The lake is waking up. Boyd is hiding something huge. And I think this episode just revealed the real reason nobody can ever leave this town alive. From Season 4, Episode 5 might be the creepiest episode we've gotten so far, because almost every scene feels like a warning. We finally learn more about the children's voices, the meaning behind the broken talismans, and why the monsters suddenly seem afraid. But the biggest reveal of the episode might actually be hiding in the background during Jade's visions. There are clues everywhere, and once you connect them together, the entire history of the town starts looking completely different. So grab something to drink, lock your doors before sunset, and let's go get weird. We open with Boyd standing alone outside the sheriff's station just before sunrise, staring at the forest like he heard something calling to him. What's interesting here is that the monsters are already gone, yet Boyd still looks terrified. That immediately tells us this scene is not about the creatures roaming the streets at night. It's about something worse. Earlier in the season, Boyd mentioned that the forest feels different now, almost alive, and this episode keeps pushing that idea harder and harder. The wind sounds distorted, the trees creak in strange patterns, and several characters stop mid-conversation because they hear whispers nobody else notices. The town itself feels awake. And honestly, I think that's the biggest clue in the episode. People have always assumed the monsters control the town, but what if they're just another trapped species living inside it? What if the forest is the real entity pulling the strings? We cut to Tabitha and Ethan near the cabins where they discover one of the talismans cracked directly through the center. Not broken completely, just damaged enough to matter. Ethan immediately says the symbol looks sick, which sounds childish at first, but in this show, children often understand things before the adults do. Remember how Victor used drawings to explain events long before anyone realized what they meant? Ethan may be doing the exact same thing. A sick talisman could mean the protection is weakening because whatever power created them is dying. That would explain why the monsters acted differently during the night. For the first time ever, we see one hesitate before entering a house. Not because it can't enter, but because it looks genuinely nervous. That moment is easy to miss, but it changes everything. These creatures are predators. We've never seen fear from them before. So what are they afraid of? Back at Colony House, Donna questions Randall about the strange scratches covering the walls of the bus. Randall claims he doesn't remember making them, but the markings perfectly match symbols Jade saw during his vision earlier in the episode. This is where things get really unsettling, because Randall begins describing dreams he never should have had. He talks about red roots underground and people trapped beneath the town, singing in circles. That line instantly reminded me of the children Tabitha heard near the tunnel's back in Season 2. I think the voices and the roots are connected somehow. Maybe the children were never ghosts at all. Maybe they're physically trapped somewhere under the town, connected to whatever controls the forest. There's also a quick moment where Randall says he smelled water while having the dream. Water imagery keeps appearing over and over and from. The Brundles, the lake, the rainstorm before the radio tower collapse. Even Elgin's visions all connect back to water in some way. And now Episode 5 adds another major clue. Jade discovers an old map hidden beneath the floorboards of the church basement. At first, it just looks like random lines and circles, but when he flips it upside down, the map suddenly resembles a giant underground lake spreading beneath the entire town. That honestly blew my mind because it might explain why people hear sounds coming from below at night. The town may literally be sitting on top of something ancient. Jade being Jade immediately spirals into conspiracy mode. But unlike earlier seasons, his theories are starting to sound believable. Especially after he notices one location on the map marked with the same symbol seen on the talismans. The symbol isn't protection, it's containment. Think about that for a second. Everyone assumed the talismans were designed to keep the monsters out. But what if their real purpose is to keep something else trapped inside the town? Suddenly, everything starts making horrifying sense. Why nobody can escape for long? Why the roads loop endlessly? Why new people always arrive right when others die? The town may not be a prison for the humans. It may be a cage holding something beneath them. and the people are just collateral damage keeping the system alive. The creepiest scene in the episode comes later that night, when Victor returns to the caves alone. Victor has always known more than he says, but this episode practically confirms it. He finds one of the puppet dolls from Season 3 sitting upright near the tunnel entrance, except now its face is carved into a permanent smile. Victor immediately freezes, and that's important because almost nothing scares him anymore. He survived alone in this town for decades. If he's terrified, we should be terrified too. Then we hear movement deeper in the caves. Not the usual monster sounds either. This sounds massive. Slow dragging footsteps followed by what almost sounds like chains moving across stone. Victor whispers, "It's awake," before the scene cuts away. No explanation. No reveal. Just pure nightmare fuel. And honestly, I think this thing might be the original creature the town was built around. The monsters outside may only be servants or guards protecting it until the cycle is complete again. Because this episode keeps mentioning cycles repeatedly. Tian Chun's old storage room contains strange carvings showing moons repeating in groups of 7. 7 sacrifices, perhaps? 7 cycles? Even Boyd notices the number appearing repeatedly throughout the episode. 7 knocks on the door. 7 bottles hanging from the tree near the lake. 7 candles inside the church suddenly lighting on their own during the storm. From loves hiding answers in plain sight, and whenever symbols repeat this often, it matters. The episode ends with probably the most disturbing reveal yet. Elgin wakes up in the middle of the night, hearing children laughing outside the house. When he looks through the window, he sees a group of kids standing in the street wearing white clothing soaked completely black from the bottom up like they had been standing in water. One of them points directly toward the forest. Then every porch light in town shuts off at once. Complete darkness. And in the distance, we hear the monsters screaming. Not hunting screams either. These sound terrified. Then the screen cuts to black. Honestly, this episode may have just confirmed that the monsters are no longer the biggest threat in town anymore.